those executive orders or those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get.
Liz Cheney and the J6 Unselect Committee just got some real bad news. We're going to see how the Biden auto pen scandal just took another ironic turn for the worse. If you're Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, Trump has just announced that he's about to go scorched earth, and it promises to be absolutely glorious. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to celebrate the new golden age that you made possible back on November the 5th. And so if you want to see all the ways you are literally changing the entire world, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. A blessed feast of St. Patrick to all of you. This is a magnificent icon from the Orthodox iconographer Shane Swenson. He just posted this along with the beautiful St. Patrick prayer on X. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of everyone who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me.
We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
Wow, it's such an exciting time to be alive. As we speak, America is regaining its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, and prosperous nation on earth. We have so much to celebrate already. Safer borders, the dismantling of DEI, permission to drill, baby, drill, and $1 trillion in new investments released into the economy. We stand on the precipice of what will be known as the most prosperous time in American history. The only question is, will you be an active participant in the golden age, or will you sit passively on the sidelines watching everyone else build wealth? If you want to be a part of the former, then I urge you to join me and my good friend Mark Wilburn at the Golden Age Summit on Thursday, March 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mark is a stock market expert whose recent recommendations have led to returns of over 200%. He's an amazing teacher and has a knack of demystifying the market so everyday Americans can participate in this golden age we're now in. But don't wait. Seating registration is limited, so click on that link below right now and register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. All right, gang, so here we go. Strap yourselves in. Late last night, Trump went scorched earth over the Biden auto pen scandal. He took to Truth Social and wrote this, quote, "The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen." In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are now subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. So here we go, declaring the signatures on Biden's pardons to be null and void, in that they were all signed by an auto pen and unknowingly signed as far as Biden was concerned. Obviously, this opens up the way for Fauci and General Milley and Biden crime family to all be investigated, ultimately arrested. But it was clearly the members of the J6 Unselect Committee, as he calls them, which was the very definition of a kangaroo committee, a committee that began with Trump's guilt already predetermined. They are the ones specifically being put on notice that they're about to come under federal investigation. Within just minutes of Trump declaring Biden's pardons null and void, Senator Jim Banks of Indiana called for investigations into Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, and other J6 committee members, saying, quote, now that we know that their pardons were illegitimately signed by AutoPen, rendering them legally invalid, an investigation into the actions of every single committee member should be launched immediately. It's obviously no coincidence that Trump made this announcement just literally hours after he made an official visit to the Justice Department, where he said this.
Our predecessors turned this Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice, but I stand before you today to declare that those days are over, and they are never going to come back. They're never coming back.
So it does appear that Trump sees holding these people accountable as essential for restoring competence and dignity back to the Justice Department. He's clearly going to have a lot of help from federal law enforcement. I know many of you are familiar. Dan Bongino was just sworn in as Deputy Director of the FBI, so we can be sure investigations into the real J6 perpetrators are indeed underway. Now, our good friend, data analyst Seth Keshel, has a great piece out today on his Substack analyzing the claim of rendering these presidential pardons null and void by Trump. And it's very important that we make sure we understand what's at issue here. What's so interesting is, based on Seth's analysis, is that the auto pen itself is not necessarily the issue. We saw that with Trump's Truth Social posting. The auto pen itself, by itself, is not the issue. What's very important for all of us to get here is that the use of an auto pen is not forbidden by presidents. In fact, all presidents use auto signing here or there. Even Trump in his first term used an auto pen to sign some items. What is absolutely forbidden is the use of the auto pen without the president's consent. That's the no-no. And that is where Speaker Mike Johnson's recent testimony about Biden comes in. So Johnson relayed a conversation that he had last year with President Biden, and he brought up one of Biden's executive orders, and Biden was clueless. Biden had absolutely no recollection whatsoever of ever signing it or even consenting to it. So Johnson had confronted him on an executive order that froze new liquid natural gas export permits, and Biden apparently denied he ever signed the order, even though the order was signed less than a month prior to their conversation. So the whole question of Biden's mental acuity is now calling into question his ability to cognitively consent to any of these auto pen signatures, let alone the J6 committee pardons. But that's the key to all of this. It's not a question of the auto pen per se. It's a question as to whether Biden gave his consent or if he was even cognitively able to give valid consent. That's what's really behind all of this. And Trump is clearly moving forward on the premise that the answer to that is a big fat no. Biden had no real knowledge of what was being signed on his behalf. And apparently, Trump has evidence, like Mike Johnson's testimony, to back him up on that assertion. As many of you know, before Biden signed those pardons, a House committee recommended that Liz Cheney face a criminal investigation related to witness tampering as vice chair of the illegally established and now defunct Select Committee on January 6th. We now know that Liz Cheney was in secret communications with their star witness, Cassidy Hutchinson. We actually have the text messages shared between Cheney and Hutchinson, where Cheney coached her on what to say before her testimony. She reportedly went so far as to actually get Hutchinson to change her testimony. And these communications bypassed Hutchinson's lawyers. In other words, Cheney coached the star witness of the J6 committee. I mean, it does not get more corrupt and crooked than that. It's the very definition of witness tampering. But it's all part for the course for this ridiculous kangaroo committee as a whole that consistently hid evidence that would have exonerated President Trump, such as his request for 10,000 National Guard troops to protect the Capitol building. You know, that one little detail alone would have been enough to destroy their whole case against Trump. After all, the call for 10,000 National Guard troops to guard the Capitol hardly lends itself to the notion that Trump was trying to incite an insurrection. Hello, Bill Maher. Do you know that detail? What happened, what really happened in the end, we now know, was that Cheney, Kinzinger, and the whole of the J6 committee worked in tandem with the whole of the D.C. establishment to try to politically bury Trump. J6 was deliberately weaponized by the D.C. political establishment to destroy Trump and the MAGA movement once and for all. It had nothing to do whatsoever with the sanctity of the Capitol building or defending democracy. In fact, it's the opposite. The weaponization of J6 by the political establishment was a deliberate attempt at thwarting democracy and suppressing the democratically expressed will of the people. Jack Smith's J6 case was supposed to end Trump and the MAGA movement once and for all, when in point of fact, ironically, it only ended up making us stronger. So it does look as if the day of retribution is indeed finally coming for Liz Cheney and her co-conspirers. And if that retribution does indeed come, it will ironically be the day when we truly saved democracy.